Good, good. Yeah, hello everybody. Actually, today's session is part of my PhD research, and I'm in the second year of my PhD, so this is a very great opportunity to learn from me as well. And today I will talk about the felt making and how felt makers store vows in rural Kashgar. Um, sorry, I think there's yeah. However. Yeah, my research topic is about the economic and social value of felt in rural Kashgar. And for today, my research questions will be how do felt makers store vows in rural Kashgar, and what are the social implications of these ways to store vows? And my research based on my fieldwork conducted from 2014 to 2017 in Kashgar region and other parts of Xinjiang. And as many of you know, that felt is a traditional handicraft of Uyghurs, not only the Uyghurs, but many communities in Central Asia. And for decades, felt has been an important domestic tool in the Uyghur community. But now, felt is only used by the rural people in Xinjiang. It's already became a symbol of rural. Archaeological material provides evidence of felt's long history in Xinjiang, and from the picture you can see the famous mummy from Xinjiang, beauty of lowland, actually beauty of Kroran in Uyghur, is 3,800-year-old mummy found in Xinjiang, and you can see that she's wearing a felt hat and felt shoes. So it means felt has a really long history in Xinjiang. Then in this session, I will talk about the 6 ways to store vows as a felt maker in rural Xinjiang. First one is cash, money. In Uyghur community, usually women's work is seen as house chores, ishi, and men's work seen as work, ish or emgek. Felt making seen as a male job in Uyghur communities, but women and children also participate in the making and marketing process, but their work is invisible and hidden. Women are actually in the house, women are the ones who are responsible for holding and managing the paper money of the house, hold in a purse or in their socks or under the carpet. The husband discusses with his wife and he is planning to use the paper money. The children will ask their mothers when they have needs for money. So even though women's work is made invisible in the production process and economic decision making, they can still consider it as the bank managers or the boss of the family. And then the second type is store sheep wool. Sheep wool is the main original material of felt making. So the second way to store vows for a felt maker is to store wool as capital. The felt maker's reason behind the store of wool is that even they will have no capital at home, in the stage of emergency, they can use the wool to produce felt and sell it for money. And it is also possible to sell the wool directly and obtain necessary money. And the price of felt is also considered as stable and safer investment compared to money. The wool can serve as a commodity asset, protecting their holder against inflation or in dangerous situation. And this is also and this is protected against inflation also. And I want to say here that felt makers always think that they can make sheep wool into money, or at least can exchange it to bread when they have nothing to eat. So actually, sheep wool means money for felt makers. The next type is gold. The women in Xinjiang get used to play the vows of their families. In short, how many gold accessories they are wearing shows how well their husbands and families are. And the Kashgar women are famous for their gold as much as Kashgar's gold makers and famous in as much as Kashgar's gold makers are famous in Xinjiang. And also Kashgar is a city full of goldsmiths and handcraftsmen. In order to advertise their business, their women compete in wearing gold. But the Kashgar men usually buy gold for their wife as a type of investment, which is also seen as a gift from husband to wife. This form of wealth storage requires really strong trust between wife and husband. And in Kashgar, the gold will belong to the wife if a couple divorces. So, and it would be shameful for a man or his family ask the wife and her family to return the gold. So some of the felt makers will still search for different way to deposit their wealth, and for young felt makers, this is not an ideal way to store their wealth. The next type is sheep raising. Sheep raising is a very common way to store wealth as a felt maker for a felt maker. In the local context of rural Kashgar, sheep was a preferred way to store wealth. This is because of every part of sheep is usable and it's easy to sell if you are in an emergency need for money. Moreover, sheep is a more valuable for a felt maker than for other people. This is because of sheep wool is the original material of felt making, and felt makers can turn the wool into money more easily than others. Then the fifth way is investment into agriculture or land. So most felt makers have their own small farm besides the felt making business, so they will invest into more land and engage in agriculture. Also, there's a proverb in Uyghur which can illustrate connection that people make between land and substance. Says "Yeri yok nong neni yok," which means the person will have no bread if he is without land. As a handcraftsman, felt makers spend most of their time on felt making. They often do not have enough time to deal with the agriculture. So they prefer to buy the rights of use the land for 10 or 20 years and rent it to others separately to make money from it. In addition, they will buy some land to build houses and rent the houses to others, or sell houses to earn money as well. The final type is bank accounts. Save money in banks is also one of the choices of felt makers. But until today, felt makers in rural Kashgar are not very keen to hold their wealth in the banks. This is because they cannot keep the money on their hand if they need. It does not mean that felt makers do not trust the banks or the government system, because most of the felt makers' ages in Kashgar are older, and when we talked about money, they will directly think about the paper money, and the bank card and the numbers in a bank account simply cannot make them feel safe. Also, religion aspect is important. If they keep their money in the bank, then they acquire some interest, which is seen as haram in Islam. So there are a number of felt makers who want to have bank accounts, even they don't have any money on it. They think it's a way to show they are rich and modern. It's just show that, yeah, look, I have bank account and I am modern now. But most of them still use their money, invest in sheep or land. As a conclusion, store sheep wool, sheep raising, and investment into agriculture or land as three preferred ways of storing wealth as a felt maker in Kashgar. Of course, there are connections between these preferred ways of storing wealth and social position and environment of felt makers. All of these three ways are common business and the well way to show their wealthy to others. In rural Xinjiang, it helps felt makers to develop their felt business. Meantime, the number or size of wool, sheep, and land can increase the reputation of felt making in the community. And I would like to say that it helps felt maker to earn some social capital at the same time. Yeah, nevertheless, the main purpose of all these types of store wealth as a felt makers is to continue the felt business. In this, they need help to other family members and especially their wives. Yeah, I would like to end my presentation like this, and thank you so much for your attention.